I am Amoka Mom, and I am back with some questions to consider when you are starting your locks. Which lock look do you admire? Because there's a variety of ways to start locks, and depending on the look you are going for will determine what you want. Is it sister locks? You like really small locks, medium locks, thick locks? What is your hair texture? Different hair textures require different methods to start locks. Different hair textures will look different once your hair is locked. Take my hair, for example. I have different textures in different areas of my head, but one of my textures are these tiny pen-sized coils. When my hair was loose, it was very hard to make those clump in any kind of uniform way all over my head. Some sections would clump, other sections would just look like cotton. I could achieve a curly look with those sections, but it would require like a twist or a rod or curling type set for me to get those type of looks. But yet when I put my locks in all these little small box braids, for some reason, a lot of them have these little tiny curls at the end. It's not that evident in this lighting, but I'm pretty sure you've noticed them in some of my other videos. Yet some of my ends are completely sealed up like this with no curls at the end at all. And I think this is a function of the texture of my hair. So on the one hand, you're looking at locks that you admire, and on the other hand, that needs to be balanced with the realization that depending on the texture of your hair and the method you choose to start your locks, your end result may be different. That's why locking is an organic process that you can sort of kind of guide, but is difficult to control to an end result. What is your lifestyle? How are you planning to maintain your locks? Are you going to be the type of person that has time to sit for hours and go to somebody like a sister lock professional to have your teeny tiny locks done over? Or are you the type of person who doesn't really want to be bothered with your hair, and so you want them to just grow out on their own? Maybe you'll be like me and all you'll do is separate your locks to keep them the same size, but you won't be doing any type of retightening at all. Or are you somewhere in between where you could see yourself retightening once a month? If that's the case, maybe you would be someone who would retwist to maintain your locks. What is your budget? Probably one of the more expensive ways to start locks would be to get sister locks, which cost hundreds of dollars depending on who you have install your locks. Are you the type of person that will just go to a loctician to have it maintained? How will you wear your locks? Do you want to style your locks like loose hair? If so, the size that you decide to settle on would be an important factor. Not that you can't style bigger locks, but if you decide to have 4 locks on your head, you will be limited to what styles you can do with those 4 locks. What is your skill level? Are you good with twisting? Are you good with braiding? Are you good with parting? This will determine how you put the locks in. Maybe you'll have to get somebody to help you do the parting. If you're not locking your own hair and you're considering this maybe for your child, you may want to think about the age and the maturity level of the person you're trying to do locks for. One thing I've learned from working with my daughter's hair is that children don't tend to really care about keeping lint out of their locks. They don't care about washing their locks. Locks are a carefree type of way to wear your hair to a certain extent. And I know since locking my daughter's hair, I don't think about, her hair as much as I did in the past. And I have to put systems in place to remind myself to ask her, did you wash your hair? Since she's 11 now. Did you wash your hair? You know, did you cover your hair before you did that? When she puts on a fuzzy, dressy dress-up outfit, I have to remind her to think about her locks. I look through her locks routinely to make sure that nothing is in her locks. What are you prepared to face during the baby phase of locking? The first time I started my locks, which was a couple of weeks before this set, I put in twists, and my hair has a really high shrinkage rate, something like 70% shrinkage. And in twists, my hair shrunk the most. My hair was also, the strands of my hair were also looser in twists. I had a lot of frizz. The loose hairs that slid out of the twist tried to wrap around each other, and I had really early on had to keep trying to pull them apart. The shrinkage was kind of uneven and bunchy, and I didn't like how that looked. My look was changing a lot faster than I was ready to handle. And so I took the twist down and started my locks with braids, which is a much more gradual process. However, you get to the land of lock them quicker with twists. The twist pattern disappears faster, whereas even now after 3 years, I can see small braided sections in my hair. But for me, that's what I was willing to deal with. Be aware of the different stages that locks will have and what your hair will look like, and have a plan for what you're planning to do with it. It's okay to wear hats, to curl, to style your locks any way you like, but the most important thing is that you find what you're comfortable with and know in advance where you're going. And also to be flexible, because to a certain extent, since each lock process is so unique, it's hard to predict what your hair will look like, what your hair will do. But if you know that this is something that's not completely in your control and you mentally prepare yourself for it, you should really be ready for anything. Some things that I thought were very important in the beginning was having a perfect parting pattern, and perfectly straight parts. And if I ended up being the kind of person who retwisted or latched my locks so that my scalp was exposed, and I kept my strands strictly where I had initially parted them to be, maybe that would have ended up being important. But because I semi-freeform my locks, parts mean nothing. So things have shifted. I mean, I can still find parts and do it, and neaten them up, but having them to be perfectly straight just ended up not being that important. So be aware that some things that you may find to be super important to you right now, as you go through this process, they might turn out not to be important at all. If you have any further questions for me, leave them down below and I'll do my best to answer. Be blessed.